Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Baha'i House of Worship for North America. Today's gathering is part of the 9-week Light of Unity Festival. This festival is part of a global celebration of the 200th anniversary of the birth of Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i Faith. Baha'u'llah's teachings center on the inherent nobility and the oneness of humanity. We are one human family, all created by one loving God. The recognition of our oneness can transform the world. Today, in particular, we also celebrate the birthday of the spiritual forerunner of Baha'u'llah, the Bab, whose name means the gate. The Bab was the gateway to this new era for humanity. The Bab began teaching in Persia in 1844. His message centered powerfully on issues of social justice, including the advancement of women, universal education, and the study of science. These were radical ideas in that time and place. The Bab called for people to seek truth for themselves and to prepare for him whom God shall make manifest, a divine messenger greater than himself who would soon appear. He was talking about Baha'u'llah. People around the world are becoming increasingly aware of the story of these two divine messengers. The stories of their lives are stories of love and heroism. The echoes of their deeply spiritual teachings of love and unity reverberate around the globe, bringing hope and joy to the hearts of people everywhere. We want to thank you for being with us today to celebrate the birth of these two divine messengers, these spiritual luminaries, these lights of unity. If you're following along in the program, you can see the order of the program on page 2. We have with us today, and we're so happy, the Lincoln Park High School Chamber Singers. I'll tell you a little about them after they've assembled. The Chamber Singers are the premier ensemble at Lincoln Park High School in Chicago. They are dedicated to performing high-quality, unaccompanied repertoire, ranging from Renaissance to spirituals to jazz. The choir performs in upwards of 30 events each school year in and around Chicago, including with the Joffrey Ballet, at the Goodman Theater, and at Chicago Symphony Hall. Under the direction of Timothy Cooper, the choir has been selected twice to perform at the Illinois Music Educators Association State Conference, and they have toured nationally and internationally. Their accomplishments have been recognized on the state and national level, and the choir has been featured on local television. The lyrics of the second piece are in Spanish, and they may be interpreted as being about loneliness and the longing of the soul. Welcome, Lincoln Park Chamber Singers.
We anima sola, boquerón de banco largo, y ya podrás terci ahora, aquí durmió canta claro. Recibo la picada de la brisa valedora, recibo la picada de la brisa valedora. La tarde catira mora, la tarde catira mora, y brota yo callada. La tarde catira mora, la tarde catira mora, y brota yo callada.
Many warm wishes have come in for the Baha'i bicentenary celebration from dignitaries across the country. The following are a few examples. The first is from Senator Ducksworth from Illinois. Greetings, friends. It is my honor to welcome you to the Light of Unity Festival to celebrate the 200th anniversary of Baha'u'llah. I would like to thank the National Spiritual Assembly for hosting this wonderful celebration. The National Spiritual Assembly's efforts to embrace cultural and religious differences while encouraging inclusiveness and respect is needed more than ever. We must work to promote a more inclusive and just society for all individuals and communities. All of your efforts combined are making the world a better place. Again, thank you to the National Spiritual Assembly for your leadership in promoting greater connection and exchange across all cultures and communities in our society. Sincerely, Tammy Duckworth, United States Senator.
This lovely letter is from our former president, Jimmy Carter. To the American Baha'i community, Rosalind and I send our best wishes as your community commemorates the 200th anniversary of the birth of your prophet founder, Baha'u'llah. We send a special welcome to all those who will gather for the occasion here in the city of Atlanta. We are heartened by your global community's rededication to peace, racial justice, the equality of women and men, and the essential unity of all religions. As many of our people struggle with persistent systemic injustice against African Americans and indigenous nations, chronic violence against women, religious conflicts, and endless war, the centrality of peace, human equality, and religious unity found in the Baha'i writings and activities can serve as an inspiration to those of all faiths and creeds. We are moved by the prayer for America revealed by Abdu'l-Baha. O God, let this American democracy become glorious in spiritual degrees, even as it has aspired to material degrees, and render this just government victorious. Confirm this revered nation to upraise the standard of the oneness of humanity, to promulgate the most great peace, to become thereby most glorious and praiseworthy among all the nations of the world. Our life together and the work of the Carter Center has been devoted to these same aspirations for our great nation, that America should become the foremost champion of human rights and peace in full partnership and mutual respect with all other nations of the world. Please accept our best wishes on this great occasion. Sincerely, Jimmy Carter.
This one's from Senator Collins of Maine. Dear friends, please accept my warmest wishes as you observe the 200th anniversary of the birth of Baha'u'llah. It is a great pleasure to join you in spirit as you commemorate this important milestone. Your continued dedication to working together for human understanding and peace is highly commendable. Again, congratulations as you celebrate this momentous occasion. Sincerely, Susan M. Collins, United States Senator.
So I was so excited about having you all here today that I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Joyce Litoff, and I work as a writer and editor in the Bahai Office of Communications, and it has been my great pleasure also to serve on the Bicentenary Task Force with so many wonderful individuals who have worked to put 9 weeks of special events together. So I just want to say a shout out to all of those who are serving on those events. So I'd like to introduce our next speaker, or our first speaker, actually. It's the Reverend Dr. Timothy Stevens. Dr. Stevens has served as the Northwestern University chaplain since 1986. During the academic year, he conducts university chapel service each Sunday at the Alice Millar Chapel. Dr. Stevens is responsible for religious life on campus, for advising a wide array of religious groups, and it is his hope to work with leaders of religious communities to create a positive environment for religious expression and interreligious understanding and cooperation. Chaplain Stevens has a Master's of Divinity from Princeton Theological Seminary. He then went on to earn a PhD in English literature from Northwestern University. Reverend Stevens is an ordained minister of the United Church of Christ. Each year, Dr. Stevens co-leads a spring break trip abroad known as Friendship Missions. The aim of these missions is to increase global awareness and establish relationships with communities in other countries. In the past, he has traveled to Russia, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Cuba. From time to time, he teaches courses on subjects such as interfaith conflict and dialogue, and faith and service. And most important to today's gathering, Tim Stevens is a friend of the Baha'i Faith. Let's welcome him.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today and to join in this celebration of the light of unity. I bring greetings from our university president, Morton Shapiro, and the Northwestern community. Many of them are over at the stadium now watching our team lose to Iowa. Some of you may know that a year and a half ago, our chapel, Millar Chapel at Northwestern, was vandalized. It was a disturbing assault on a house of worship carried out by 2 confused students with black spray paint. Within a few hours, really, everything was cleaned up and we were pretty much back to normal. What was not back to normal was the 2 students, and we were more concerned about them than the building. A few days after the incident, I received a letter from the Baha'i community expressing concern and offering words of encouragement and support. I was deeply touched by the letter and extremely grateful for that act of neighborliness and concern. Each winter, I teach a course at Northwestern called Faith and Service. It is listed in the School of Education and Social Policy. We look at organizations and individuals who are doing something to help others, usually the most vulnerable among us. One of my students' assignments is to visit a place of worship other than their own. Of course, I'm not omniscient and I don't know what their religious tradition is or if they even have one, but they assume I know everything. Each year, a number of students visit this magnificent house of worship, and some find their way to the visitors center. And those who are especially bright find someone to talk to. And then they write about their visit. Many are quite amazed to discover that the Baha'i Faith exists. They find the emphasis on unity and spiritual practice to be very attractive. They're taken by the serenity and openness of this place, and I learn a lot. Another assignment that I give the students is to spend 15 minutes doing nothing. They are to repeat that 2 or 3 times in a week and write about their experience. Our students have very full lives. They are very ambitious. Many have more than one major. And so the idea of doing nothing, to hit the pause button and sit for a little while, to clear their minds, to pay attention to their breathing or to the sounds around them that usually go unnoticed, and not to find their minds drifting to all the things they need to be doing and not to fall asleep, it's quite a challenge. I tell them that if it's too hard to sit still for 15 minutes, they can go for a walk, maybe by the lake, by themselves. Or they can eat a meal sitting alone. They might even taste the food they are eating and decide that eating at Burger King all the time isn't such a good idea. One student came to my office hours and said she thought she enjoyed the assignment, but she wasn't sure she was doing it right. She thought she would try it a few more times and see if she could do it better. Our students want to excel at everything, even doing nothing. They want to be the best. And I assured her that there was no right or wrong way to do nothing and that she should relax and enjoy the experience. It might put her in touch with deeper stirrings of the Spirit flowing within her. I mention all that because I think there is a hunger among young people and those of us who are not so young to be in touch with something deeper and more profound than our own busyness and our own self-centered concerns and our worries and our fears. Young people, and those not so young, are also looking for ways to better connect with each other, ways to have a conversation that is mutual and edifying and uplifting. While religion and religious institutions seem to be waning, there is a hunger, a need for something more. A significant number of people these days are seekers, and we should rejoice at that. The scholar Karen Armstrong says that all the major religions of the world teach the centrality of compassion. There are certainly differences among our faith traditions, our practices, but they all seek to enhance our natural impulse to empathy and to compassion. We have not always lived in a way that is faithful to our core values, but at our best, the religions have spoken against prejudice, exploitation, and inequality. They've shown compassion to the most vulnerable, the ones that we call in my scriptures the Anawim, the least of these, my brothers and sisters. I think we live in a time when interfaith encounter and interfaith dialogue are terribly important. As my friend Ibu Patel says, we can either hurl stones at one another, literally or figuratively, or we can build bridges. Building bridges can be hard work. It takes patience and deep and careful listening. But in the long run, it may be the most crucial thing that we can be doing. We have so much to learn from one another. I have appreciated the consistent, gentle witness of the Baha'i community on behalf of justice and peace. May God bless you in this time of celebration and in the years to come. Thank you.
I don't. This is the Baha'i House of Worship Choir. The Baha'i House of Worship Choir offers a multicultural repertoire that reflects the Baha'i belief in the unity of humanity. It includes classical choral works, contemporary choral compositions with lyrics from Baha'i scriptures or other sacred writings, and Baha'i writings sung in gospel style, Negro spirituals, and selections chanted in Persian or Arabic, which are the original languages of the Baha'i Faith. In addition to singing regularly at the Baha'i House of Worship Choir, the Baha'i Choir performs in diverse venues in Chicago's North Shore. Van Gilmer has been the music director of the Baha'i House of Worship Choir for more than 12 years. In 2006, he instituted an annual choral festival that repeatedly draws huge crowds to the House of Worship. Mr. Gilmer also travels to teach and to assemble choirs around the country. He's also a renowned vocal soloist, choral director, and gospel composer. Gospel literally means good news, and Van Gilmer loves sharing the good news music of the Baha'i Faith with the world.
When times get rough and my soul has lost its fire, I turn to my God, my adored one, my Zion. And when the road grows dark and my candle is lost its flame, I turn to God and I call his name. My God, my adored one, my King, my desire. What tongue can voice my thanks, voice my thanks to thee?
Baha'is come from virtually every ethnic, religious, national, and tribal background, and may be the most diverse organized body of people on the planet. The affairs of the Baha'i community are administered without clergy through elected spiritual institutions. In any city or town where there are at least 9 adult members of the Baha'i Faith, a local spiritual assembly may be formed. Every year, representatives of these Baha'i communities elect the National Spiritual Assembly. It is our great pleasure today to have with us to deliver the keynote address one of the members of the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States, Dr. Robert Henderson.
Well, good afternoon, friends. First, I'd like to say to the Lincoln Park Ensemble, your first song could not have been about nothing, because it was such a beautiful and melodic upliftment of the spirit. And that being the core purpose of music, you achieved your goal brilliantly, and we're very grateful that you could be with us. I also want to thank Dr. Stevens for your friendship and for your loving words. And I want to tell you that our youngest son would be an excellent model for your class because he excelled in high school in doing absolutely nothing. And I think that if you're looking for a model, we could provide you with an excellent one. Now, I'm happy to say that he's grown now and he's an attorney and he's got a son of his own. And he is revisiting some of the challenges that we spoke so frequently about. And last, to the Baha'i choir, it is such a privilege for us to listen to you, and all anybody wants to talk about is the wonderful work you did last night, and for you to come from what had to be such an exhausting performance and grace us with the beauty of your music this afternoon. Our hearts are just full of gratitude and admiration. Thank you so much. The National Spiritual Assembly has asked me to make a few remarks, but I have to tell you, before I offer them, that all I could think about today was my grandparents, because they laid the foundation of my spiritual life. And it was their loving encouragement and their model that molded my heart. They embraced the Baha'i Faith in the 1930s. And by the time I was born, all of my family was Baha'i. And so when I was coming up, and just a very small child, we would go to Baha'i school and we would learn the Baha'i prayers, and we would, as a part of our spiritual education, we would go to Christian churches and mosques and Buddhist temples and synagogues because of our core belief in the unity of the cause of God. All of these religions being the expressions of one truth. But as I would go to bed at night, and just a little guy and with not a whole lot of capacity to memorize, I knew one Baha'i prayer by heart. It was, "O God, guide me, protect me, illumine the lamp of my heart, and make me a brilliant star. Thou art the mighty and the powerful." And every night I would say that prayer, and being just a young guy, a young boy, I would thank God for being God. And I would thank him for Baha'u'llah, and I would thank him for the Bab, and then I would thank him for all of the messengers of God, Abraham and Moses, Buddha and Krishna, Christ and Muhammad, the Bab and Baha'u'llah. And then I would thank him for my grandparents, because for me, they were the most loving and the most perfect embodiment of what it meant to accept grace into your heart and to be a living witness of devoting your life to the service of others and to the well-being and happiness of all humankind. And on this occasion, when we commemorate the bicentenary of Baha'u'llah, I have to share that they are with me and to express publicly my debt to them and my allegiance to them. I thought then, and I think now, they were the best human beings I have ever known. Friends, our hearts are filled with the spirits of honor and privilege to convene this commemoration of the bicentenary of the birth of Baha'u'llah, prophet founder of the Baha'i Faith. And we are especially pleased to gather in the temple that bears his name and whose very design is a testimony to the fundamental tenets of his faith, that there is but one God, known by many names, that all the prophets of God proclaim the same faith, and that all humankind is one family. As Baha'u'llah said, "Ye are the fruits of one tree and the leaves of one branch." And as we assemble here, we join millions of Baha'is and their friends, some gathered at the Baha'i temples that decorate every continent, others in remote villages and towns and cosmopolitan cities, and collectively representing every race and nation, every religion and creed in every country on this planet. The faith of Baha'u'llah is a call to religious unity. It is a fresh revelation of the changeless faith of God, eternal in the past, eternal in the future. It calls us to remember the major plan of God, to establish his kingdom on earth. As the Bible says, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Baha'u'llah teaches us that the peoples of earth have always been remembered by their God. His teachings remind us of what the Bible says, that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. That in every era of history, God opened the gates of grace to the world, sending his messengers to renew the spirit of his love in our hearts, to teach us his law, and to stimulate the ever advancement of civilization. Many of those messengers are lost to the pages of history, but others we know and we celebrate and we remember in our prayers, and we call them Abraham and Moses, the Buddha and Krishna, Christ and Muhammad, the Bab and Baha'u'llah. And that brick by brick, stage by stage, these messengers of God taught us the knowledge that there is only one God, and their teachings inspired us to establish successive stages of unity and social cooperation, from the establishment of the family, to the tribe, to the city-state, to the kingdom, and ultimately to sovereign nations. And each one of these messengers of God foretold the coming of a world redeemer who would gather the flocks into one fold. The Bible tells us that in that day, the day of the kingdom, the world will be united by the promised one of all ages. The Bible says that he will establish the oneness of the human family. It says, I will give them one heart and put a new spirit within you. It says that in that time, every people will be the chosen people. I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. And it says that we will learn to think in new terms, that we will develop new habits of thought, new habits of the heart, and new habits of behavior. That his name shall be in our foreheads, that the lion will lay with the lamb, and that we shall beat our swords into plowshares, and that the world will be united and reorganized. Of the increase of his government, the Bible says, and peace, there shall be no end. The zeal of the Lord of hosts shall perform this. And today, when the world has contracted into a neighborhood, and we are simultaneously and paradoxically more in touch with each other, working more intensely on international and intergroup cooperation, but at the very same time faced with dangers that threaten to exterminate us all. Baha'is claim that Baha'u'llah, born 200 years ago, is such a figure promised by the ages, whose teachings will call us to a new level of understanding of the underlying truth and common origin of all of the religions, and whose mission is to establish bonds and ties that are stronger than blood among the children of God. From his early youth, Baha'u'llah was regarded by those who knew him as bearing the imprint of destiny. He turned away from a life of privilege and rank and was known to be father of the poor. He was known for uncommon wisdom, for deep insight, and for his relentless devotion to the upliftment of the downtrodden and the assistance of every soul. And yet during the course of his life and his prophetic mission, he was made to endure more than 40 years of suffering, exile, and incarceration, violence against his person, the persecution of his followers, and the expropriation of all his worldly possessions. But all of this he bore willingly out of a boundless love for humanity and with forbearance and compassion for his tormentors. To the king responsible for his torment and exile, he wrote, "O king, I was but a man like others, asleep on my couch, when lo, the breezes of the all-glorious were wafted over me, and taught me the knowledge of all that hath been. This thing is not from me, but from one who is almighty and all-knowing. To the world's kings and rulers, Baha'u'llah sent messages calling for them to devote their energies to the collective security of the world and the happiness of the peoples, and helping them to understand that the well-being of mankind as a whole, its peace and security are unattainable unless and until its unity is firmly established. And to all humanity, Baha'u'llah poured out the Spirit of God in over 100 volumes of prayers, teachings, and laws, laying out the principal requirements of unity, of peace, and happiness on a global scale. He assured us of the love of God which inspired creation itself, writing veiled in my immemorial being, and in the ancient eternity of mine essence, I knew my love for thee, hence I created thee. Have engraved on thee mine image, and revealed to thee my beauty, gifting us with a rich legacy of prayers to comfort our hearts and to teach us the purpose of life. Baha'u'llah says, I bear witness, O my God, that thou hast created me to know thee and to worship thee. I testify at this moment to my powerlessness and to thy might, to my poverty and to thy wealth, and teaching us anew the inherent nobility of human creation. Baha'u'llah says, I created thee rich, noble I made thee. Turn thy sight unto thyself, that thou mayest find me standing within thee, mighty, powerful, and self-subsisting. And all of these teachings represent elements of a revelation transcribed in over 100 volumes to address the organization of the world as a whole, to address the role of leadership of kings and rulers in bringing about this reorganization of the world, its nations, and its affairs, and the alignment of those nations into one cohesive entity, and to rebirth in the hearts of human beings a new spirit, a new understanding of our relationships that is characterized by these bonds and ties that are stronger than blood. To say that we are all linked together as children of the same loving Father. And the centerpiece of the teachings of Baha'u'llah is the oneness of the human family. It is at the core of the collective life of the planet. Baha'u'llah proclaims the equality of women and men, not simply as a socially progressive principle, but as one of the indispensable universal spiritual laws of God. And he says that the equality of women and men and the elimination of all prejudices of race, of color, of class and creed, and of nationality are essential elements to the establishment of an enduring and lasting peace. And he reconciles in his writings seemingly counteracting forces that plague our own age, the forces of science and religion, of unity in diversity, of freedom and honor, of individual rights and social responsibilities. And in his own words, he has blotted out from the pages of God's holy book whatsoever have been the cause of strife, of malice, and mischief among the children of men, and laid down the essential prerequisites of concord, of understanding, of complete and enduring unity. And to America, Baha'u'llah confers a unique spiritual destiny, saying that this nation, whose ancestry includes every people on earth, and whose motto is e pluribus unum, out of many, one. And notwithstanding all of the conflicts and divisions, setbacks and reverses we have and will experience, this nation is destined to play a leading role in the establishment of global peace. And so, my friends, on the occasion of this bicentenary of the birth of Baha'u'llah, we want to say to you that in every land, there are people who have embraced the faith of Baha'u'llah and who are committed to his vision of unity and are systematically learning how to give effect to his teachings. From every race, religion, nationality, and class, Souls are uniting around the vision of humanity as one people and the earth as one country. And on this 200th anniversary of Baha'u'llah's appearance, we invite everyone to take advantage of the opportunity to find out who Baha'u'llah was and what he represents. For our part, we as followers of Baha'u'llah, as members of the Baha'i community, pledge our eagerness to work and serve with all people. Service to others being the highest station that can be achieved by an individual. To help our world resolve this period of unprecedented conflict and crisis, and to bring about a spiritual renaissance that will allow successive generations of our children to witness the dawning of the day when they will be able to see for themselves and testify from their own experience that God has fulfilled his promise of thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, and that all of us will live in the peace, in the love, and in the harmony for which God created humankind to begin with. Thank you.
Oh, they tell me of a home far beyond the skies. They tell me of a home far away. And they tell me of a home where the storm clouds rise. Oh, they tell me of an unclouded day. Oh, the land of cloudless days. Oh, the land of an unclouded sky. Oh, they tell me of a home where no storm clouds rise. They tell me of an unclouded day. They tell me of a home. They tell me of a home where my friends have gone. They tell me of a land far away, where the tree of life is all blue, just as fragrance to the unclouded day. Oh, the land of thousands. Oh, the land of an unclouded sky. Oh, they tell me of a home where no storm clouds rise. Oh, they tell me of an unclouded day. They tell me of a king in his beauty. Oh, they tell me that my night shall be in the city that is made of
house worship choir is coming up, they will listen to me because I'm going to give some directions that they don't know. I want you to help us in this song. This song is If We Ever Needed Love, We Need It. And what I'm going to ask you to do is say just this part of the song. We need it now, right now. We'll practice it, and then we're going to sing. Now, right now, and that part, we need it now, right now. We're going to sing that. We need it now, right now. Sing that every time it comes to the part. They'll help you. They'll help you to know when to come in. We need it now, right now. We need it now.
We need it.
Thank you so much to everyone for being with us this afternoon. There are some refreshments out in Foundation Hall, and then we invite you to come and join us for prayers and more music upstairs at 3:30. So please join us. Thank you.
There is a story unfolding. A story of humanity's progress through history. Propelled by the teachings of messengers of God. Messengers guiding humanity through its stages of development. And now to the dawn of its maturity.
Tia ati tu buti ili nak ti ni tuki tu ni hoppo inu luk ta nu nak yang nu luk ta ko ili nak ti nui ga ngata malik tau ninga akik to himayo inu tuki hening nitnu.
Now is the time of Baha'u'llah, the messenger of God for this day.
Baha'u'llah's purpose is to unite all mankind, to bring all races, classes, peoples, different backgrounds to be united.
The teachings of Baha'u'llah are inspiring millions of people, transforming neighborhoods, villages, and cities in every country on earth.
Baha'u'llah è venuto per trasformare l'intero carattere dell'umanità, portare un cambiamento interiore ed esteriore nelle condizioni del mondo.
Baha'u'llah's teachings are vast in scope, essential in nature. Their central feature is the oneness of humankind, with all its implications for the transformation of those essential relationships that bind peoples and nations, helping them to transcend all forms of prejudice, to advance the equality of women and men, to uplift the downtrodden, and to foster economic justice. These teachings of Baha'u'llah represent an end to division and otherness. This is the time for the recognition that all people are one family. For the building of a united world that embraces the diversity of its peoples. It is a new chapter of humanity's story, a chapter that began 200 years ago. Persia, 1817. The world is asleep. It is the hour of dawn on an ordinary day when an extraordinary child is born to humanity. He will come to be known as Baha'u'llah. As a child, Baha'u'llah lives a princely life. His father is a distinguished government minister, and his ancestry goes back to the greatest dynasties of Persia.
Baha'u'llah muvi wende pa wayikubana bwende. Ubwenze bishima byabonga. Ubone lunge nyilute. Umone bantu babonye bavo bakema umushindu Baha'u'llah. Munsombele wende bamba ni ka mona mutekete nunkwewo wende nsombele mushilani watetu bantu bakwalai kaboya mutu lasa to kajiboba mwelu lukonko wanda munani wamba newu mulongi munene bwachingani bwane ewu ujini lungi lutu ujumwene kamuntu anzani.
As Baha'u'llah grows to young adulthood, he turns his back on a life of luxury and prominence, and instead dedicates himself to helping the poor and the oppressed. Baha'u'llah's dedication to serving those in need stands in stark contrast with the attitudes among the nobility of the time. Later in life, he would demonstrate the temporary nature of the material world and all its riches by relating a story from his childhood. He describes watching an elaborate puppet show while still a young child during the wedding celebration of his older brother.
Très rapidement, des petits personnages ont commencé à s'animer et les petits personnages ont annoncé « Sa Majesté arrive, préparez les sièges ». Finalement, arrive un personnage royal qui était très majestueux, qui agissait avec beaucoup d'arrogance, très hautain, qui avait un diadème très brillant. Et là, des coups de feu retentirent, les trompettes, tout d'un coup la tente fut enveloppée de fumée. La pièce se termine et 20 minutes après, il y a un homme qui sort du derrière de la tente et qui a une petite boîte sous le bras. Et Baha'u'llah l'arrête et lui dit « Mais qu'est-ce que c'est que cette boîte ?» Il lui dit « Toutes les choses que tu as vues, le prince, le roi, les ministres, tout ce que tu as vu est enfermé dans cette boîte. »
Baha'u'llah tells this story to help explain the true purpose of our physical existence. Ere long, these outward trappings, these visible treasures, these earthly vanities, these proud and overweening souls, all shall pass into the confines of the grave, as though into that box. It behooveth therefore every man of insight to fix his gaze upon the goal of eternity.
Baha'u'llah explains through this story that the reality of this life is fleeting. None of it lasts. Really, the nature of human beings is that, yes, we have a material self that lives in this world and passes away, but we also have a soul that comes from God and is eternal and will continue to last long after the physical body dies.
(1844). Baha'u'llah's reputation for kindness and compassion, for insight and wisdom, becomes widespread in his native land. At the same time, a sudden and galvanizing movement begins to spread throughout all of Persia. A young man, known as the Bab, or the Gate, had arisen to awaken humanity and prepare the world for the long-awaited promised one of all ages. Baha'u'llah becomes a prominent supporter of his cause. But the Bab's teachings are met with opposition from those in power. The clergy and the government denounce him and relentlessly persecute his followers. Thousands are murdered. (1850). A military square in Tabriz. The Bab himself is executed under dramatic circumstances.
Após a execução do Bab, seus seguidores continuaram a ser perseguidos até que milhares foram massacrados. E Baha'u'llah foi levantada uma falsa acusação sobre ele, até que o mandato de prisão foi emitido.
He was arrested. He was chained, he was beaten, he was made to walk barefooted, and then he was put into a dungeon called Siyahchal, literally means the black pit.
The place was dark, there was no light, there was one entrance. It was full of filth and unbelievable. I mean, we cannot really get our heads around what that place was like.
Baha'u'llah had a heavy chain around his neck. The marks the chain left was evident all his life. Well, you look at that tragedy, you look at that, and your heart breaks. People wait for many, many years for the beloved to appear, and then they do this to him. But he was in the same Siyahchal that Baha'u'llah received inspiration from God, that he is the manifestation of God for today.
During the days I lay in the prison of Tehran, though the galling weight of the chains and the stench-filled air allowed me but little sleep, still, in those infrequent moments of slumber, I felt as if something flowed from the crown of my head over my breast, even as a mighty torrent that precipitateth itself upon the earth from the summit of a lofty mountain. Baha'u'llah endures 4 months of intense suffering in the Black Pit. Orders are given that he, along with his family, be banished forever from his homeland. Sick and frail, he crosses the Zagros Mountains in the bitter cold of winter to reach Baghdad. This begins a period of exile that will last the remaining 40 years of his life. For the time being, the truth of his divine mission is kept hidden. 1863. The influence of Baha'u'llah and his teachings continues to infuriate the Persian authorities. At their urging, the Ottoman Sultan exiles him farther still from his native land. Before departing Baghdad, Baha'u'llah gathers his companions for 12 days in a garden called Rizvan on the Tigris River. It is here, with his tent pitched along the rose-lined pathways, that Baha'u'llah proclaims publicly for the first time that he is the promised messenger of God for this day. In this moment, a new era in human history begins. Everything would change. The magnitude of the transformation called for by Baha'u'llah is hinted at in some of the words he speaks regarding these days. That which was hidden is now revealed, and that which was concealed is now come. Bestir yourselves to greet this day, a day whereon the gates of heaven have been flung open, and the clouds of eternity have rained down. his words release a tidal wave of spiritual energy, whose effects will extend across countless generations into the future. Baha'u'llah, along with his family and companions, is exiled deep into the Ottoman Empire. First to Istanbul, then Edirne. The authorities hope to eradicate his faith once and for all. But Baha'u'llah's influence proves unstoppable. Years pass. In 1868, he is banished yet again, this time to a harsh and remote colony on the outskirts of the Ottoman Empire, the prison city of Akka.
L'arrivo di Baha'u'llah in Akka è difficile descriverlo. Il caldo, la mancanza di vento. Dalla porta del mare, dalla città prigione, furono portati attraverso questi vicoli bui e stretti. Baha'u'llah e la sua famiglia furono portati nella prigione, un edificio fatiscente, in una condizione miserabile.
他们刚开始请监狱的那个看门员给他们水喝，可是呢，那时候这一些人呢都拒绝了他们，也不要给他们任何的食物、任何的水。给他们的呢，那时候后来他们勉强了给他们一些东西，那个水呢，可是也没有办法让他们喝。很多朋友就在那个时候有3个人就因为那样的状态之下而过世了。
Baha'u'llah mong tulis tentang penderitaan ilui, ku katih tulisan suci, kidot kek sanggup, ki pikul, beban rantai ilui sangatnya sebab mereka bebas dunia adil daripada belenggu dunia. Lepas ajine, kek juga sanggup ki jadi orang tawanan, ku katih kubu de kuat sebab bebas manusia dan sanggup kingot cawan penderitaan abadi hinggalah ihampas. So kita manusia yang sui riang gembira.
We have accepted to be abased, O believers in the unity of God, that ye may be exalted, and have suffered manifold afflictions, that ye might prosper and flourish. It is during his exile and imprisonment that Baha'u'llah writes letters to the monarchs and rulers of the time, openly proclaiming his station as the messenger of God for this day.
Baha'u'llah wrote these letters to the kings and rulers of the world during an age of empires. This is a period of time where a few rulers governed most of the world.
Baha'u'llah призывает этих правителей к чему-то. И очень важно, что это призыв к миру. К миру, а также к тому, чтобы вот эти сильные миры сего не притесняли свои народы.
How remarkable that this prisoner, under such appalling conditions, would write to the rulers and the kings of that time to offer guidance on how to lead their people with compassion and justice.
Baha'u'llah spends 9 years confined behind the walls of the prison city of
All praise, O my God, be to thee who art the source of all glory and majesty, of greatness and honor, of sovereignty and dominion, of loftiness and grace, of awe and power. Whomsoever thou willest, thou causest to draw nigh unto the most great ocean, and whomsoever thou desirest, thou conferrest the honor of recognizing thy most ancient name. Of all who are in heaven and on earth, none can withstand the operation of thy sovereign will. From all eternity, thou didst rule the entire creation, and thou wilt continue forevermore to exercise thy dominion over all created things. There is none other God but thee, the Almighty, the most exalted, the all-powerful, the all-wise. Illumine, O Lord, the faces of thy servants, that they may behold thee, and cleanse their hearts, that they may turn unto the court of thy heavenly favors, and recognize him who is the manifestation of thyself and the dayspring of thine essence. Verily, thou art the Lord of all worlds. There is no God but thee, the unconstrained, the all-subduing.
The purpose underlying all creation is the revelation of this most sublime, this most holy day, the day known as the Day of God in his books and scriptures, the day which all the prophets and the chosen ones and the holy ones have wished to witness. This is the day in which mankind can behold the face and hear the voice of the Promised One. The call of God hath been raised, and the light of his countenance hath been lifted upon men. It behooveth every man to blot out the trace of every idle word from the tablet of his heart, and to gaze with an open and unbiased mind on the signs of his revelation, the proofs of his mission, and the tokens of his glory.
In the name of the one born on this day, him whom God hath made to be the herald of his name, the Almighty, the All-Loving. This is a tablet we have addressed unto that night wherein the heavens and the earth were illumined by a light that cast its radiance over the entire creation. Blessed art thou, O night, for through thee was born the day of God, a day which we have ordained to be the lamp of salvation unto the denizens of the cities of names, the chalice of victory unto the champions of the arenas of eternity, and the dawning place of joy and exaltation unto all creation. Immeasurably exalted is God, the maker of the heavens, who hath caused this day to speak forth that name whereby the veils of idle fancy have been rent asunder, The mists of vain imagining have been dispelled, and his name, the self-subsisting, hath dawned above the horizon of certitude. Through thee the choice wine of everlasting life hath been unsealed. The doors of knowledge and utterance have been unlocked before the peoples of the earth. And the breezes of the All-Merciful have been wafted over every region. All glory be to that hour wherein the treasure of God, the all-powerful, the all-knowing, the all-wise, hath appeared. On this night the fragrance of nearness was wafted. The portals of reunion at the end of days were flung open, and all created things were moved to exclaim, "The kingdom is God's, the Lord of all names, who is come with world-embracing sovereignty." On this night, the concourse on high celebrated the praise of its Lord, the exalted, the most glorious. And the realities of the divine names extolled him who is the King of the beginning and the end in this revelation, a revelation through whose potency the mountains have hastened unto him who is the all-sufficing, the Most High, and the hearts have turned towards the countenance of their best beloved, and the leaves have been stirred into motion by the breezes of yearning, and the trees have raised their voices in joyful reply to the call of him who is the unconstrained. And the entire earth hath trembled in its longing and its desire to attain reunion with the eternal King. And all things have been made new by that concealed word which hath appeared in this mighty name.
به لسان جان محبوب امکان را ندا کن و بگو ای خدای من و مالک من و دوست من و محبوب جان و روان من، چگونه از عهده شکر تو برایم در بحر غفلت و نادانی مستغرق بودم. لسان فضلت مرا ندا نمود و ید عنایتت مرا اخذ کرد. ای پروردگار من، غفلت من به مقامی رسید که مرا از فرات از به یقین محروم ساخت. و به ماه سدید ظنون راه نمود. از ذکرت غافل شدم و تو از من غافل نشدی. از حبت مخمود بودم و نار عنایت تو مشتاق. به کدام وجه به تو توجه نمایم و به چه لسان تو را بخوانم؟ خجلت و انفعال مرا فرو گرفته و از جمیع جهات مایوس ساخته. ولکن ای پروردگار من و مقصود من و مولای من، شنیدم که فرمودی امروز روزی است که اگر یک بار نفسی از روی صدق رب ارنی گوید، از ملکوت بیان انظر ترانی استماع نماید و از این کلمه مبارکه عالیه مقام امروز معلوم و واضح است. و همچنین فرمودی اگر نفسی از اول الاول از جمیع اعمال حسنه محروم مانده باشد، الیوم تدارک آن ممکن است. چه که دریای غفران در امکان ظاهر و آسمان بخشش مرتفع، سؤال می کنم از تو به حرمت این روز مبارک که مصدر و مطلع ایام است، مرا به رضای خود موفق بداری و به طراز قبول مزین نمایی. ای رب انا المسکین و عندك بحر القنا و انا الجاهل و عندك کنوز العلم والعرفان و انا البعید و انك انت المقتدر المتعال القریب.
O peoples of the earth, Verily, the resplendent light of God hath appeared in your midst, invested with this unerring book, that ye may be guided aright to the ways of peace, and by the leave of God step out of the darkness into the light, and unto this far extended path of truth. God hath, out of sheer nothingness and through the potency of his command, created the heavens and the earth, and whatever lieth between them. He is single and peerless in his eternal unity, with none to join partner with his holy essence. Nor is there any soul, except his own self, who can befittingly comprehend him. O peoples of the earth, verily his remembrance is come to you from God, after an interval during which there were no messengers, that he may purge and purify you from uncleanliness in anticipation of the day of the one true God. Therefore, seek ye wholeheartedly divine blessings from him, inasmuch as we have, in truth, chosen him to be the witness and the source of wisdom unto all that dwell on earth.
Immerse yourselves in the ocean of my words, that ye may unravel its secrets and discover all the pearls of wisdom that lie hid in its depths. This is the changeless faith of God, eternal in the past, eternal in the future. Let him that seeketh attain it. And as to him that hath refused to seek it, verily, God is self-sufficient, above any need of his creatures.
Lauded be thy name, O Lord our God. Thou art in truth the knower of things unseen, ordained for us such good as thine all-embracing knowledge can measure. Thou art the sovereign Lord, the Almighty, the best beloved. All praise be unto thee, O Lord. We shall seek thy grace on the appointed day, and shall put our whole reliance in thee, who art our Lord. Glorified art thou, O God. Grant us that which is good and seemly, that we may be able to dispense with everything but thee. Verily, thou art the Lord of all worlds. Say, God is indeed the maker of all things. He giveth sustenance in plenty to whomsoever he willeth. He is the creator, the source of all beings, the fashioner, the Almighty, the maker, the all-wise. He is the bearer of the most excellent titles throughout the heavens and the earth, and whatever lieth between them. All do his bidding, and all the dwellers of earth and heaven celebrate his praise, and unto him shall all return.
O thou kind Lord, thou hast created all humanity from the same stock. Thou hast decreed that all shall belong to the same household. In thy holy presence, they are all thy servants, and all mankind are sheltered beneath thy tabernacle. All have gathered together at thy table of bounty. All are illumined through the light of thy providence. O God, thou art kind to all. Thou hast provided for all, dost shelter all, conferrest life upon all. Thou hast endowed each and all with talents and faculties, and all are submerged in the ocean of thy mercy. O thou kind Lord, unite all, let the religions agree, and make the nations one, so that they may see each other as one family, and the whole earth as one home. May they all live together in perfect harmony. O God, raise aloft the banner of the oneness of mankind. O God, establish the most great peace. Cement thou, O God, the hearts together. O thou kind Father, God, gladden our hearts through the fragrance of thy love. Brighten our eyes through the light of thy guidance. Delight our ears with the melody of thy word, and shelter us all in the stronghold of thy providence. Thou art the mighty and powerful. Thou art the forgiving, and thou art the one who overlooketh the shortcomings of all mankind.
stay.